why don't we throw real quick? Why don't you just rush through these waiver guys? I mean, a couple of guys leading your list, of course, Singletary and Noah Brown. I will just say before you get into those guys, because I know you can do this part better than me, I did an article on the Texans receiving core and CJ Stroud and all that this week. Noah Brown was a mention. Now, I mentioned picking up Stroud. I mentioned you could even maybe possibly pick up Tank Dell. These are both long shots, but I said there's one guy you can definitely get if you want a piece of this aerial pie, and that was Noah Brown. He was 1% owned. He's now 24% owned. So a lot of people did pick him up, but he's still probably available in your league, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Out there in 76% of them, definitely go check. He was and me and CJ talked about him a lot this week. If you needed a streamer, you had to go check and see if Noah Brown was out there. 8 targets, 7 catches, 172 yards, 3 straight weeks now leading this team in receiving. I get it. There was no Nico Collins. That opens up a huge vacuum. But now this is, again, 3 straight weeks. Robert Woods was back. It still is intriguing to see what's going to happen when all of these guys are healthy and out there. I think Robert Woods, we saw him already get kicked to the curb this week. He will be the one biting the bullet here and go to the irrelevancy, whereas Tank Dell, Noah Brown, Nico Collins, all of them can coexist. Brown's just a good player. He truly is. He's always open. He's where he needs to be. He has a great rapport there with CJ Stroud. Now he's got over 325 receiving yards in 2 weeks right now. The guy is just going absolutely bonkers. You also mentioned, though, Devin Singletary, probably gone in your league, 49% rostered, though, so he is out there in half of them. And we said 30 rushes, 150 yards, a touchdown, 1 catch for 11 yards as well. And I believe he finished with 90% of the snaps in this one. Nobody else mixing in at all. A very soft schedule here for the running backs. Arizona next week, 3rd most points. Jacksonville, an okay matchup, middle of the road. But then Denver, 1st most points. The Jets, 10th most points, and an okay playoff schedule with a couple games with Tennessee on the deck. So this does look like he had to take over this backfield officially and actually has some value in there. So definitely the Texans leading off the list. But you got to also take a look for Brandin Cooks. Got dropped by a ton of people out there. 10 targets this week, 9 catches, 173 yards, and that score. Believe he's now scored in 3 straight games. Definitely a low yardage total in there. So it became like, can I actually really ever put Brandin Cooks in my lineup? After a game like this, the way this pass game is cooking, the way they can get up big and they're still chucking it with Dak, they're playing at a different level. There is a different offensive scheme than what they entered the year with. And especially today, to watch them keep their foot on the gas pedal, it reminded me a lot of the Bills, where the Bills of the past few years, where they'll get up big and they don't care. They're just going to keep bombing you. They're not going to keep taking their shots. They're going to keep padding the stats. And I'm all for that. I love it for fantasy. So Brandin Cooks, definitely somebody moving forward you want to go check for. Ty Chandler, out touching. I was wondering if Alexander Madison got hurt. We haven't seen any news that he had. So I'm just guessing this was just pure ineffectiveness. 8 carries, 27 yards for Alexander Madison, continued to be one of the worst.
The only reason that I say that is that I was playing against Madison and an O came up next to his name for out at one point. And if it was pure ineffectiveness, I think they probably wouldn't have had anything there. That was the only reason I brought it.
Yeah, he must have had something then. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for the injury report. I have not seen anything. If you guys in the comments saw anything, let us know on Madison. Certainly Chandler, either way, definitely saw the work there. 15 carries.
Hold on. Actually,
yeah.
Wolf, Madison got concussed in the 3rd quarter.
Oh, okay. So that's good to know. So either way, we're going to highlight Ty Chandler as a waiver wire pickup. Sounds like such a douchebag. That's good to know. He got concussed.
Great.
Great news. That's fantasy. We are just sickos. We all are. Let's just embrace that for a second, how disturbed of human beings we are. But that does mean Ty Chandler probably going to make the start. There's only been one player all year to make it out of concussion protocol that same week. That was Brock Purdy. I don't expect Madison will make it out.
Probably shouldn't have.
No, and he probably shouldn't have at all. So Chandler, he'll get Denver next week is the matchup. The most points allowed to running backs will probably be the spot start that Ty Chandler gets for the Week 11 backfield. What a juicy opportunity. This kid does make plays. I know his yards per clip wasn't great. Again, 15 carries, 44 yards in a score, but a very capable pass catcher. Flashed throughout the preseason. Really nice chunk plays after chunk plays in every facet of the game. I could see him having an 18 to 20 point day against Denver. And then after that, you get Chicago, 8th most points allowed, a bye week. And then you get the Raiders, 4th most points. So 3 straight top 10 matchups for this Vikings running game. That's why we were kind of suggesting that Madison is as ugly as he's been, not a horrible buy low, but with him out now, buy high on Ty Chandler. Spend the money you have to. This is going to be an interesting waiver wire week, Truth. Like the more we're diving into this all these players from Brandin Cooks to the Texans guys, Ty Chandler, like every single one that we're talking about, my gut reaction here is $20, $30 of your fab, probably worthwhile here this late in the season. We'll definitely dive more deeply on Tuesday, where I do my solo waiver wire show. I go through the top 10, 7 p.m. Definitely come check that out. But a few other guys that will definitely be in that show. Jaden Reed, 5 catches, 5 targets, 84 yards, and a touchdown. This is now, I believe, definitely at least 2 straight weeks. I think 3 straight weeks he's led this team in receiving. He definitely has the best rapport with Jordan Love of any of the receivers here. We know that Christian Watson cannot get anywhere close to Jordan Love's attention at this point, or they can never connect. The routes that Jaden Reed does certainly fit the mold better, higher percentage, let the guy do this damage after the catch, a beautiful 35-yard touchdown. So he's been getting it done in the yak game. He's been getting it done deep down the field. Reed has been making plays all year, so I'm surprised to see him at only 21% rostered. I also, another rookie, Quentin Johnston, finally getting in on the scoring action this last week. Now, obviously, we know that Keenan Allen at this point, he got hurt, so it's going to be like, oh, man, do we have to blow everything to go get Quentin Johnston? But either way, he's going to likely, eyeball test-wise, we don't have the snaps exactly yet. He's going to be on the field pretty much every single one of them, 95% of the routes last week. I'm guessing he'll be right around 90% at least again. This time, 4 catches on his 4 targets, hauled them all in, 34 yards and a touchdown. Slowly but surely gaining that trust of Justin Herbert, slowly but surely emerging as the clear number 2 in this offense. With not a bad schedule moving forward as well for Quentin Johnston at only 29% rostered, cut by a lot of impatient owners, and understandably so. He was doing nothing. I really am intrigued to see what Quentin Johnston does down the stretch. Last guys of note here, Demario Douglas, 36% rostered, got cut by a lot of people. 9 targets, 6 catches, 84 yards. All 3 of those led the Patriots here. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be, but definitely in PPR leagues, and especially half PPR too, we know he's going to be an 8 to 10 target guy every single week. We know that's how this Patriots offense has always operated, through the slot here. And he looks good. Pop Douglas just looks good. He's the only meaningful weapon in this attack. Last guy I did want to mention was Michael Wilson. Just barely missed out on a touchdown. Got tackled on the 1-yard line there. Otherwise, we'd be looking at like a 14-point fantasy day. But still, a respectable 7 points, just 3 catches, 34 yards. But again, nearly 4 catches and a touchdown added to that. So I like Michael Wilson. I'm intrigued because of how good Kyler Murray looked. And this is a guy that I think can nail every layer of the field. And I will be excited to see how his role grows here with Kyler Murray. I think this is one to get a week ahead on. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments. Check out some more videos and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.